Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry about technical difficulties. 2024 obviously is starting out with brand new rules. So anyway, bear with us. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I've got the amazing John Bash here. He's living in Arizona now. And we're going to talk about how to get your year off to a good start. Talk about different things that we do to, get our mind in the right place and set up a plan for the year so that we can follow obvious steps forward to accomplish our goals. So John, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, we're talking about a new year. We're talking about goals. Those are things that are obviously important to all of us. So I'm looking forward to having a good chat this evening. I know that, a good friend of mine that had been on a number of my training calls in the past, and we did a couple of events together, well-known motivational speaker, Les Brown. He always said, if as long as you reach for the stars, you'll never come up with a handful of mud. And I think it's good. There's some good wisdom in that because, people need to have a direction. They need to have a goal, something that's in their mind and heart that they want to have, that is something they can't have, maybe doing what they're currently doing. And, the interesting thing about goals is, there's an old maritime saying that says, no wind is favorable to the sailor who has no destination in mind. In other words, you can't hit a target if you don't have one. And so literally having a goal or an objective is an extremely important part of all of us. And a couple of quick examples, in a prior company I was in, this goes back 10 years maybe, but no longer than that. It'll be about 15 years. But at that time, there was a pin level that I wanted to reach, and it was called 200K back at that point in time. And in that particular company, our auto ships all ran on the same day. Every month it was on the same day. It wasn't you could pick and it'd be all over the board. It was the same day. And when the auto ship ran, it was 12 days before my goal that I had set. And I came up 90 cases short, cases of product short after the auto ship ran. But I had it in a written goal, just like I always keep my goals in writing. This is mine now. It stays in my shirt pocket most of the time. But I was, in my mind, I'm going to get there. I don't know how, I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll happen. And, I was able to get a few orders in that time frame, but on that last day, all 90 cases were in. And, you can say serendipity, you can call it whatever you want. I have no idea where it all came from, but it came. Just like here in ASEA, when I'd set a goal going from diamond to double diamond, there was a date I needed to do it by, and it was 2 years ago, and it was getting towards the end of the year. And not only did I hit a double, but the very following week I hit triple. And I mean, how did that happen? It was hard work, but in my mind, I knew where I wanted to go. And I think that's a very important aspect that every single person needs to have. A person needs to sit back and think about, we all know that 2023 is now behind us. So 2023 is history. We can't change it. There's nothing we can do differently for 2023, but 2024 is our future and it's in front of us. And so we can make plans. And what I would like to see people do is to sit down in a quiet spot, and they should be, maybe most people have already done it so far, but if you haven't, you need to sit down in a quiet spot. And if you've got a house that has a lot of kids in it, just get up a little bit earlier in the morning and sit down with a cup of coffee or whatever you do in the morning and just think, what would I like to have happen this year that will change our future? What will make it better? And what type of an income do I need to make that happen? And when you know what that income type is, all you have to do is look at our average income chart and you'll know the PIN level that'll be necessary. And then I'm going to suggest that you put that goal in writing for whatever that PIN level is. And then once you've got it in writing, this is the date by which I will be done and I will reach that position. Once that part is set, then the next step is probably even more important. I need you to sit down and think about if you were at that position right now, if you had attained that position already and you were earning the type of money that comes with that position, how would you think as a person at that level? How would you act as a person at that level? How would you walk and carry yourself? How would you talk to people if you were in that position? Let's just say it's triple diamond, to throw that out there. If triple diamond was your number, what would be different about you as a triple diamond? What kind of would there be some additional jewelry you might have, maybe a nice watch, or would that be, everybody has something in their mind. How would you dress during the day and when you go to business events? What would you look like? What would you talk like? How would you feel? And when you get all of those thoughts in mind, then what I'd want you to do is would want you today to start thinking, acting, walking, talking, looking, and feeling like that person right now. Because once you've done that, the power of your subconscious mind is huge. And obviously you can call it serendipity, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. When I set some of those goals in the past and had no idea how they would happen, I just knew that I would do it and stayed in belief that it would happen. I started to think, act, walk, talk, look, and feel like that person. And what happens when you do that, you've set the objective to your subconscious mind, and you're driving it in by the thinking, acting, and feeling like that person. Then what happens is you'll start noticing opportunities to bring that into reality that you would never have recognized before. And you wouldn't have recognized it because you weren't on the pathway towards that objective. It's like taking a trip anywhere, a vacation. You set the destination up front, and maybe it's a planned trip to Hawaii. And then you sit down and you buy some clothes to dress the part when you're in Hawaii. And you start doing those little things that ultimately get you to that point, and then you are there. And a quick example would be like, let's say you wanted to buy a new car. And you go to a particular dealership of the type of car you want. And I don't know what type of a vehicle you'd want, but it could be anything, an Acura, a Mercedes, it doesn't matter. Whatever car it is you would like. And you go to that dealership and you walk in and you're looking at different cars and you see this beautiful green, a color you've never seen before. And it just touches you and you're so excited about it. So you buy that car. And you drive that car home that night and you're all excited. You're telling your family members, you're calling up the people you care about and telling them you got a new car. The next day you're out driving around and that color green is everywhere. How come you never noticed it before? Because you weren't looking for it before. And when that's similar to how your mind works. When you give your mind a target, it starts looking for things that will lead you to that destination. And those are the things that are powerful. When you're thinking, acting, walking, talking, feeling like that individual, you start noticing those things in life, the changes you have to make within yourself to be good at it, changes in yourself in how you think. In other words, putting aside when somebody comes to you and says, it's a pipe dream. You're not going to get there. You got to blow that off out of your mind. You got to say in your mind, I don't accept that. I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family where I had a mother who was a saint and a father who was a pain. I can't tell you how many times he'd say to me, "You're never going to grow up to be anything. You're not going to be good at it." All of those things that were negative. I didn't accept that. And you don't have to either. And you have to remember that your net worth is typically the average of your 5 closest friends. Now, that means you may be changing some friends in the future, because when you start earning the kind of money that you want to earn, your friends that you currently possess are going to be a lot more jealous of you and start making cracks. And when their mindset doesn't agree with your mindset, you're going to have to make some choices, because ultimately you can't let the way somebody else thinks about you declare who you are and have you accept that. You have to decide, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do for my family. And then you have to stick to it. And
So
if you
true.
stick
So
to it and
true.
keep running with it, you're going to find some good stuff
So
happening.
true, John. You know, so many good things. You know, there's a saying out there that says that when a firm decision is made, then providence moves too. And I've seen that. I've seen that over and over and over and over again in my own life, just like you described in your life. I mean, we were going for a goal, and it just seemed like it was completely out of reach. There was just no way we were going to hit this thing, but we had made a firm decision. And you know, Bo asked me, Cindy, we're just going to have to reset the date. And I said, no, because we had a family meeting with our kids, and we told them that we were going to accomplish that goal by the end of the month. And so, you know, I said, you want to wake up the kids tomorrow and tell them we failed? I'm not waking them up and telling them we failed. I'm going to take them to the go-karts and to the hot springs, just like they wanted to do when we reached our goal, because they've been eating pizza all week and the house has been a mess, and they haven't gotten a whole lot of attention because they understood that we were going to be working really hard and our life was going to be out of balance. But at the end of this month, we were going to hit that goal, and then we were going to take them to celebrate the way they wanted to celebrate. And I'll tell you what, we got tested down to the very end, but we reached that goal. And we had to bring in something like $20,000 in that one day. And it just seemed impossible. But you know what? It wasn't. It all came together. And I'll tell you, people can sense a moving train. And if you're going somewhere exciting, people can sense it. Sometimes I don't even know what you have, but I want a part of it because it seems like you're going somewhere. So, you know, I want to be involved, or I want to buy something, or I want to be part of this thing you're doing, you know? So many good things that you said. And, you know, part of when you said that you hit double diamond and then you had so much momentum, you went on to triple diamond. You know, there is a structure that's in place that you have to hit. There's, you know, Director 300 legs that you have to have in place. And, you know, the only two levels that even matter in this compensation plan are Director 300 and bronze. So if you can go Director 300 and teach other people to do it, if you can go bronze, you're going to go bronze. And if you can go bronze and teach other people to do it, then you can go anywhere in this compensation plan that you want to go. So, you know, I wrote down a couple questions, and I just want to throw these out there. And if you have a piece of paper, you might want to put these down, or I'll put them in the post. But ask yourself, what level do I want to reach, or what level do I want to solidify? So get that clear in your mind. And John gave you a method for how to reach that, because if you know how much money you want to earn and you get the income disclosure form, you can see what level matches that income and how, you know, that's going to change your life in the way that you want it to. How many Director 300 legs are you going to create this year? Because, you know, we can't just go for the bare minimum. If you need 2 for bronze, 3 for silver, 4 for gold, you know, et cetera, on up the compensation plan, do 3 times that, you know, because all your pistons aren't going to fire in the same week. So you want to make sure that when you open that executive momentum pool, that you're getting paid out of that profit sharing every single week, right? And same with the diamond pool. How many bronzes are you going to create this year? How are you going to meet new people? I mean, you know, if what you're doing is not working, then what are you going to do differently to go out and meet new people, so that people know that you're a real deal and what you're doing is a real entity? How are you going to broaden their vision? So when you find somebody that's interested in ASEA, I meet John Bash on the street and I ask him some questions and he seems like he's interested in learning more about ASEA, then how am I going to broaden his vision? Am I going to invite him to a fly-in? Am I going to plug him into Alan Noble's Thursday night overview? Am I going to get him on a 3-way phone call? Am I going to, invite him to a special event in his area? What am I going to do? What's the plan to expand his vision beyond just talking to me? What are the resources that you're going to use, that you're going to leverage to do this? Are there videos out there that you like? Are there new books? The new NFR2 study that, is out is so exciting. Most people don't know what redox signaling molecules are. Most people don't know what glutathione is. And most people don't know what NRF2 is, but it starts a conversation and it's all backed by science. Another question is, what follow-up tools do you have in place? Because you can get people excited, but if you don't have a path for them to run on, or if you don't check in with them on, because I know, John, when you found out about ASEA, you didn't just jump in. It took some follow-up on your sponsor's part to kind of, let you know that, this was real and this wasn't like what you've looked at before. And this was a very different company. And yes, everybody says that, but this is, so there was some follow-up that was necessary in order to gain your trust and have you devote your time and energy into this project. Who are you going to be accountable to? Are you just going to be accountable to yourself, or is there somebody that you're going to work with to say, hey, listen, hold my feet to the fire. And if I start chickening out or getting lazy or whatever, call me on it. Give somebody permission to do that to you. Even if it's somebody that's not an ASEA, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kids, whoever it is, but having accountability is probably, it's like having a good workout partner. You're probably going to get in better shape if you've got somebody to work out with, whether you feel like it or not. And what time are you willing to commit to building your mindset? John gave you some tips on the critical mindset that has to be in place for you to get out of your comfort zone and go into areas that you've never experienced before, so that you can live a life that you've never lived before. What organizational tools are you going to implement to keep the train on the tracks? A lot of people have so many, dishes in the air that, some of them are going to crash because they just can't remember who they've talked to and who they need to follow up with. And they get really good at starting the process, but not really good at following up that process. So think about how you're going to keep yourself organized. What's important? Why is it important for you to build your business, move your business forward in the first place? If you're in a place, the same place now that you were last year, why is that? Really look yourself in the mirror, find that quiet place and that cup of coffee that John was talking about, and ask yourself, why is it important for you to move forward this year, as opposed to 2025 coming around the corner and you're going, gosh darn it, I remember that call that we did with Cindy and John, and I'm still in the same darn place. Don't let that happen. How much income will give you the freedom to do what you want to do? Put some numbers to the lifestyle that you want. How much do you want to earn on a weekly basis in order to live the way you want to live? And the last question I wrote down was, how am I going to communicate with my customers and with my associates? So people join you on the team, they buy product from you. How are you going to keep them under the spout where the information comes out, so that they don't feel like they're on an island of nowhere all of a sudden? So those are just some ideas that I wrote down, John, just to kind of get people's minds, tactically in place, because this is doable, you guys. We have an incredible company, incredible product, incredible timing. We have what people are looking for. It's just a matter of us finding the people who are looking, right, John?
That's it. And the only way you find them is talk to them, have a conversation. Find out where they are, what's going on in their world, what would they like to do that they can't do. All those just questions, just being interested in somebody instead of trying to, instead of going into a conversation with, I've got something, I need you in my business. No, you need to find out why they would need it and let them then deduce on their own when you give them the information. And you were a couple of things that you said too uh, piqued a little thought. One was the circumstance with you and Bo and your kids when when you said, I'm not going to tell them we're going to fail. You know, one of the things that everybody can do when you, especially when they don't have a spouse that's on the same side, you know, if they got a spouse that's saying, you know, you're spending that money each month, or we could use that for this bill or that bill. A good thing to do is that, like, for example, if you're let's say you're a director and you make a little objective to say, when I get to be director 300, I'm going to go out, take my husband or my wife out for dinner. When I get to be a 700, I'll book us a weekend at a bed and breakfast. And then you tell your spouse that, or that person that, and then what'll happen is you'll win them over by the time they've gone on their second trip. And then they're going to start telling people about the product or the opportunity because they've seen it work. And that's all people want to do, is see it work. And it works when we work. And the other thing you were talking about is basically putting a flow chart together so that, you know, when I've talked to somebody and they expressed an interest, what's my next step? What do I put them in front of them? What video do I have them watch, or what webinar do I send them to, or Zoominar? You have to have that written down so that you know exactly what you're going to do as your next step. And if you keep taking those steps, and here's the big thing, every single person that's listening or who listened to this as a recording is good at something. And it could be anything. You could be good at golf, you could be good at volleyball, you could be good at knitting, you could be good. It doesn't matter what you're good at. You were not good at it the first time you did it. You got good, and because you got good, you really like it. And you will really like this business if you put the time in to get good at it. And you can get good at it by taking the action steps that you're being shared with you by the various leaders, and finding the little niche that you fit in that area so that you get results every time you put something out there. And then you will love this, and then you'll put more time into it. But it all gets down to knowing that this is a business. You have to treat it like one. It can't be treated like a hobby. And when you get your new members on board, you got to babysit them. You know, a new person coming into this business who's never been in it is like a newborn baby. And you can't just put them in a crib and check on them every 3 or 4 days and see if they need something. Because by then, they're, you know, if you did that with a baby, you know what would happen. And the same thing happens here. Those outside voices start impacting them. So have a flow chart for every aspect of your business. Treat it like a business. Set up all things you need set up. Set up your bookkeeping system for your business. And if you need to, hire yourself once a year a tax person to do your taxes for you. Because if everybody understood that the average person will save $3,000 to $6,000 a year just having this business, they'd realize their product is paid for in advance. And they'll never leave because it's basically free. Because every other form of income they work, they can get money back from that by having a home-based business. Just do the simple things to treat this like a business, and your life will never be the same. And you will love this opportunity that you've been given. And you know, God forbid that you or me, Cindy, we've never found this company ASEA, because, you know, after nearly 40 years in this industry, I can say from personal experience, because I've been approached by, I can't tell you how many different companies, there has never been a company with this type of leadership, with such a great compensation plan, where even have global bonus pools for the lower levels, and the product technology we're bringing to market. Nobody has ever had all these pieces together besides this company.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. You know, we had Lorraine Bavart on the Zoom for Tuesday, which you were a part of a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that I couldn't believe, she said she just got back from a social media kind of mastermind with Fraser Brooks in Dubai. And of the 30 people that were there with her, 28 of them had changed companies in the past year. And there was only she and another guy who were happy with their company. And Lorraine's been with ASEA for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So you're so right. And so there are big fish out there that are looking for a home, and they're tired of getting the runaround. And, you know, the other thing that she said that was really interesting to me is that out of the 30, you know, different companies that people represented, only 2 of them had product oriented companies. The rest were digital oriented companies. And so that's because most products are Me Too products. They're a boring story. They're nothing different. And we do not have a boring story. We are a biotech company that chose word of mouth. And, you know, so we are paving a path in this world that's never been paved before, which is the good news and the bad news. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it exciting. And that's what makes it a little bit challenging sometimes. So give yourself a break. Don't try to be a biochemist, and don't try to make it on your own. John, we're almost at the bottom of the half hour, but can you just say a little bit about the importance of teamwork when building this business?
Well, the old saying is teamwork makes the dream work. And it's, you know, it's so important that, in my personal view, the biggest issue with our industry is somebody recruits a person and then they're immediately on to another person. And they don't help that new person get from point A to point B. Because the bottom line is your success is based on the success of the people that shoulders you're standing on. In fact, I have this little thing on my desk as a reminder of the different people. I'm sitting up top, but I'm standing on the shoulders of other people. And without them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the income I have. I wouldn't have the time freedom I have. I wouldn't be able to go the places I go to if it wasn't for those people. So you have to put time into those people. And, you know, you do set limits because, you know, a person, in my mind, the person has to be reliable. They've got to do what they say they're going to do. You know, if they don't, you know, if they're serious about it, they will. If they're not serious, they won't. And as long as they're serious and they tell me this is where I want to go, I'll give them 100% of the effort that they need. But when they stop doing what they say they're going to do, that's strike one. You hit 3 strikes and I'm done with you. And it's not because I don't care about you. It's not because I don't love you as a person. It's you don't love you. If you can't be dedicated to your own purpose, I can't afford to give you my time. My time is here for you as long as you keep doing what you want and you bring back, because I can't help anybody until they take the action step. When they take an action step, if they don't get the result they want, they can come back, describe what happened in that circumstance, and I can help them make a course correction. It's probably something small. And they can make a course correction, and the next time they can do it better. And then they'll get better and better and better. But if they don't take the action steps, there's nothing I can do. I can't help them. They've got to be able to take those action steps. So invest in your people, because your people, again, without them, you're nothing. And it doesn't matter if you're a presidential triple diamond. If you let your people go, eventually you're going to be back to a director, and then you're going to be gone, because the people are so important. And there are good people that really want it. If they really want it and they desire it, give them your time and help them succeed so that they can build that confidence in them and get good at something so that they do love what they're doing.
Yeah, so true, so true. I mean, the compensation plan is based on, if somebody really wants to build this business, our first objective is to help them find their first 2 people that want to build this business with them. And while we're looking for those 2 people, we're going to find a lot of customers, you know? So, but if they're not introducing you to new people, then that's the action step that John's talking about. There's nothing we can do to help you if you're not introducing us to new people. We got to go and find other people You know, that's the whole name of the game. So, but if you can help your person find two people, and then those two people, if they say, hey, they put their hand up and they say, I want to build a business, then we're going to work with them and help them, each of those guys find their two people, and each of those people find two people, and each of those people find two people. And the more vested interest we create, the more interesting this whole project becomes. All of a sudden, you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself, and you start to see the volume compound because you're not just trading time for money. And that's when people really start to understand the power of network marketing, because they're realizing that they're getting paid not just for their efforts, but the efforts of other people. So, absolutely. Any final thoughts, John, before we wrap it up tonight?
No, I think we've hit on it. It's just, just remember that we're all, we all have the opportunity to build an international business. And so you'd be like any other company, and your key people are going to be like your board of directors. So you're looking for those key people, and some of them you're going to be building. Some people, because there's people that are brand new at this industry that can become the number one earner in this company. So it all depends on how much time and energy you put into them, and the burning desire gets into their heart as they start succeeding. And from there on, they could outrun you and make more than you, and you'll be happy because you're still going to make
That's
a
right.
bunch from them. So God bless everybody, and just take your business seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. John, thank you so much for taking some time and sharing some of your wisdom. You certainly have a lot of it, 40 years of experience in this business. I think your father would just say, well, I guess I'm wrong, John. I guess you are going to amount to something out there. And, I was just testing you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys have an incredible 2024. It's not going to happen on accident. It's going to happen on purpose. So plan to have an incredible 2024 and act as if what you've got in your mind has already happened. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.